to come because
And
we can't answer some of the questions you want.
You can shoot on your own property,
I know.
as long as you're 5
Scheduling
feet away
issues.
from the.
I guess
Well, I
he's the
don't know if
guy
they
from
have a
patrol
bylaw
these
that
days,
says
so.
you can
But I know state law says 500 feet.
Is it 500, Mike, or 300?
500.
It's 500 now?
Yeah, you have to shoot within, you cannot shoot within 500 feet of the
Oh,
wall.
shooting, I'm sorry, I thought you,
Shooting.
I thought you.
Okay, folks, we are live. Welcome to the February 5, 2018 meeting of the Lake Boon Commission, quorum being present. First item being public comment. Anybody have comment on anything other than what is on the agenda? There's one copy of the agenda there. If not, we are on a kind of a tight time schedule tonight, so I'm sure it won't break anybody's heart if we speed things up a little bit. I'd like to take things out of order a bit. I asked Sergeant Salisi to be here tonight to address some of the issues that we have around patrol. And maybe we can take you as first order of business. We'll come back and do minutes later. So would you like to come on up?
Thank you.
You might have other things you have to do from time to time.
Yeah, trying to fit in this. Okay.
Just generally, like your ideas based on last year's experience under the new operating system that we have.
Yep.
Cooperating, you guys do the work and we try to assist where we can and make some suggestions. But like to know what your ideas are for scheduling hours this coming year. Total number, kind of how you plan to do it based off last year's experience, and we'll take it from there, maybe just a Q&A.
So, we're still operating in this year's
Yes.
budget. So I have roughly around 100 hours or so left that we can patrol till July 1 or
Right.
June 30th. So I haven't worked out the exact weekends we were with Lee yet, but we were planning on the boat should be back in before the end of May, and then start patrolling usually on the weekends. We try to meet before to see if you guys had any suggestions, but we need to have like 1 or 3 of you, I guess, part of the public meeting stuff, to decide on the hours. So what we did last year was we came up with Saturday and Sunday, and if there was a holiday on Monday, he would patrol on all 3 days. Usually in the afternoon, and if it was quiet hours, he'd usually stay over for about an hour or so into the quiet hours.
Just for clarification, this is different than police detail work. There's not a 4-hour minimum, so he.
No.
So,
As we explained last year,
Yeah.
Lee gets paid for the hours that he is out there working.
Right.
He doesn't just come in and then get 4 hours for an hour's worth of
Okay.
work. It is, he logs in with us, he calls the dispatch, we keep track of the times, and he only gets paid from the hours that he works to the hours that he goes home.
Okay.
If it's busy, he can stay out longer than he is scheduled to, and if it's not, and he decides, it's raining, I'm not coming in today, or there's one boat, and we passed each other 10 times, and we're not gonna be out, then he has the discretion to leave.
Thank you.
So, with that in mind too, we also scheduled in some call-out hours if we need them, and how that works. If someone calls the Stowe Police and he's available for respond to a call, or if there's something that he needs, he can take care of at a later time, we've scheduled hours for that. This year, what I've also, we're starting in July, because all the money got moved over, is that I'm gonna talk to Lee, because he found it very, it was a lot on Lee to do every single weekend during the summer, because he had no free time, because he was doing it every weekend. So we scheduled some hours, and that we can take over for him if he needs it. Like, if he needs a weekend off, we can fill that gap. For purposes of calling us or for calls, absolutely. We still encourage people to call the police department. The patrol officers will respond as appropriately if there's any issues. If it's like a long-term thing or something that you guys are working on, we can always let you guys know or let Lee know, and then that way he can refer back to you guys.
It's important for anybody who's watching on tape delay on this, to understand, when you say call the police, it's called the Stowe Police.
Yeah.
By agreement with Hudson.
Yes.
You do the dispatch for that. And the first call, especially in public safety issues, should be to you and not to us.
Oh, absolutely.
So if something that needs prompt attention, we have no authority, this is, I'm preaching to the choir, but we have no authority to call Lee and say, please go out and respond to this. That
Right.
has to go through.
Yes, we do.
Well, no, Lee has to get, Lee cannot self-activate. Lee has to be, we have to activate him.
So, but we can call a station.
You absolutely can call the station,
Call
but
the
you
station.
still may get
Yeah.
the patrol. It depends on what the situation is and what's going on in Lee's life. Because Lee's not
Gotcha.
sitting at home waiting for the phone.
Yeah, I know.
So
Gotcha.
we would make the determination on, okay, listen, this is something that we need to handle right now. Or maybe it is something that, hey, this can wait till a later time where we can investigate something further. And we make that determination based on what the situation is. But you'd immediately get a response from the patrol officers, because they're the ones on the road right now. They're the ones who'd be able to respond. Lee could be, engaged in his own life doing stuff, so. We don't want people calling him when something,
That-
a
But
public
that,
safety.
but that includes us.
Yeah,
We
call-
go through
yeah.
the station
Right.
and it's
Give
handled
the
through
station a
protocol.
call, and then we'll take it.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
But yeah, so as far as like the actual hours, if you have suggestions, I would appreciate like hearing from you guys. If you're thinking that more morning hours, more afternoon hours, or if you come up with something that, hey, we want, you have an event, something that you guys know about that that you want us to have extra patrol on, let us know and we can schedule it around it. So we did that last year for a few special events that were down at the lake. We do put Lee on for that, for extra hours. He's aware of those hours. And but if you have different ideas, usually what Lee was doing last year was, I'm just looking at my time chart, anywhere between 12 and 1 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays till about 3 or 4. So, and again, weather permitting, and it depends on what the activities are around the lake.
So I have one question. Has he or has Stowe Police done any off-lake observation? I know like environmental police talked about, instead of being in a boat on the lake, very visible, just observing things from areas of the shore.
Yeah.
Is that something we've
So-
done, or?
I don't know if Lee has done that, because when he's working, we want him visible, we want him out there, we want him seen.
Okay.
As far as the other officers go, I don't know if they've done that or not. We do checks of the whole town, so we're constantly going over the Barton Road, down to the
Yep.
lake area.
Yep.
So I don't know, but there's nothing, I can't
Okay.
say this is how many hours, or this is the enforcement
no,
that
I
I've done.
just-
But if there was something that came to our attention, not of an emergency nature,
Yeah.
but we could communicate to you and pass it along for your officers to be a particular lookout for
Yeah.
for
Oh,
something
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
you then might assign Lee to do. I mean, just so we work cooperatively, but
No, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
really just asking whether as either a
Yeah.
preference or a non-preference, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whether we ever wanted to have, instead of literally having him always in the boat on the lake,
Yeah.
whether there was any value, we
Yeah.
thought, to sometimes not being as
Right.
visible.
And I've talked to Lee last year when we discussed his expectations from us and ours to him. And one of the other parts of it too is that, so he is, he has medical equipment on the boat. He is a patrol officer. He is going to be responsible for, he could be the first officer on scene to whatever is going on. Just because he's on the boat, on the lake, you can still respond to emergencies. And it doesn't have to be on water. It could be on land, and he could be the first one there and could be handling all sorts of emergencies that we respond to. And that's our expectation for him, is that he's going to be another set of hands and set of feet and eyes on the ground. So that's, we
Okay.
expect a lot from Lee.
So your patrol boat was kind of out of commission last summer due to the pine pitch. You
Okay.
gonna-
and the
So,
rip roof. And
yeah, the rip
Right.
roof, are you guys gonna put some effort into maintaining it?
I haven't heard any different.
Well, so what happened last year is because of where it's parked, pine pitch got all over the boat.
Okay.
So if you as an officer got on the boat, you're gonna get pine pitch all over you.
Right. Well, I'll let, so Sergeant Thrain is the one responsible for putting that in the lake, and I'll address it with him and ask him, to
Might be able to move that
Yeah.
dock some, but I know.
Well,
that-
we are very thankful to Kathy for letting
Yeah,
us put it
yeah,
on her property, so
yeah.
which is really a big
She
help.
used to let you keep it on the other side, where there's no tree.
You mean like where her,
Other side of her
garages?
boathouse, yeah.
I'll talk to Sergeant Thrain and talk to her about that.
Yeah, so it's a little shallow over there, but
Yeah.
the T-top would be nice to be repaired too.
I think we already fixed that,
Did you?
yeah.
what was it?
The canvas, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, I think as far as specific recommendations for hours, that might be something that develops like during the season. If there's a Tuesday night, something that's regularly going on down there, for instance. that we can
I mean, during the summer, it's mainly the weekends.
Right.
But what we don't want to see, and what we get complaints about, is if, you got two officers in the patrol boat at 2:00 in the afternoon on Monday.
Well, you gotta also remember too, that we have, right now, we have one new full-time officer and 3 part-time officers. So as soon as that boat is in, you are gonna see 2 officers, because we wanna get them all trained. And it's not, as you know, you just don't get in it and go. So you need some experience and time in that boat behind that wheel. It's different than a car, right? No brakes, you turn, it turns different. So it will not be uncommon to see 2 officers, absolutely. You won't see just the 2 officers that are responsible for patrolling the road in the boat at the same time, but you will see 2 officers absolutely this summer. Because like I said, we have 4 new people that we want to get
That would
trained.
come out of your training budget, rather, none of this is our budget.
Well, it's not
information
even,
anymore.
so the officers that are trained, so the 3 part-time officers have been, they are under a training schedule right now, but they also can come in on their own time, and they do.
Mhm.
So a lot of that is for free, that they come in on their own time so they can get qualified on.
We don't have a budget to worry about.
No, it's not,
Exactly.
we're not paying, this isn't any extra pay, it's the on-duty officer, whoever is working, and then that part-time officer, or even that new full-time officer who is working that shift.
We did do the budget. The $5,000 you got was our budget.
Right, so that's been, right, and then we've added some more money into it also.
Oh, good.
So like I said, so I gotta talk to Lee, which, we gotta come up with a schedule, because I know that that was a concern of his last year, was that, like, listen, I'm doing it every single weekend.
Right.
And what can we do about that? So we're gonna try to make arrangements.
Good.
To have every weekend in your summer is tough to have it dedicated just to doing one thing, so.
Excellent, Mike.
So, anything
And we
else?
also, like, if you know of a special event coming up, like if there is something that the town is, gonna do, or some private organization or whatever, I mean, we had the, our Schultz event, last year, and the water carnival, so we would put Lee out there for special events like that too, just to get, an extra, vote out there, safety-wise, and so. And the more time we have to prepare, the better. I always like to have more time to come up with a safety plan.
Good. We can do that.
Okay. Well, I don't think, anyone
No?
Any
Questions?
questions?
if not, we'll, we certainly know where you work.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
I'll
can
come
find
by
it.
anytime and,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever you guys need to
Yeah,
ask.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Appreciate you coming in. Let's work back up. We don't have any bills?
I don't.
I just put it on there as requested as the standard item, but we don't need it. Let's hold off on the meeting minutes. If there's something we need to hold off over, we can do that later. Number 5, next steps on bylaw revision work. When last we met, November 29, there was the question of, was there any way possible to make this go forward into this year's town legislative session, or town meetings? And the answer was no, there wasn't. So we took the only step possible, and that is to say, okay, take a step back, take a deep breath, and look forward to the earliest opportunity should we go through all of this and come up with a work product, which requires town meeting action, would be the fall of this year, assuming it could even be done in 2 stages. I mean, if we were ready to go and Hudson had a town meeting and we didn't, we could get it past town meeting this year and the next one. But being the most optimistic we could do, whatever changes, whether it's just changing a few I's and T's or anything more substantive that has to go to on the power voting, that has to go to the state, is a little more difficult because of the timeline on that. But anything that we change on any of them need to be amended as town bylaws. So, with that in mind, Chris, you have anything you want to present at this point? Do you have your little documents that we should look at?
Well, you've got
to-
copies, so at the last meeting, you kind of requested that we just, oh, I'm looking at this one first, sorry, the bylaws
Yeah.
piece. So requested that we kind of just narrow it down to
Clean it
what's the current regulation and what's our kind of pending recommendation. Where had we gotten to so far on it? So this one does not have the history of
Right,
each
right.
meeting, all of that. So this is just reflecting kind of where we stood at the time
Right.
we stopped. And so there were some that are kind of pending recommendation. Obviously, we haven't had the public meetings or anything else. We kind of thought we'd probably leave it as written. Other ones, we still needed some more information. Others, we had recommended changes to. So this is just a record of kind of where we left it.
Where we were last
Okay,
time.
and I guess my only question on this is, one of the things that, came up in our last session was looking at the Fort Meadows stuff and whether we want to, this we took as, let's start with what we have and figure out what do we want to modify out of what we have. And that's really what's reflected here. And I guess if we take a step back, the question for us is whether that's the approach we want to continue to take, or would we essentially want almost a clean slate take? Connie had come up with some simplified things. We saw some simplified things from others. We have, if we're not trying to rush through it and get something in the next few months, then I think that's, a consideration for us. Do we just try to kind of keep the general form of the old ones and tweak the ones that are needed, or do we kind of look at it a little bit differently?
This is option A, or do we develop an
Yeah.
option B?
Yeah, so just wanted to kind of bring that to see if in the intervening 2 months, if anybody's thought about whether they want to continue down this path or diverge a little.
Ronnie, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, well, like I said in the last meeting, we should make it as simple as possible. And we've got to, in Chapter 90B regulates, we're not going to regulate anything Chapter 90B does, period. So anything that is already a state regulation, we don't need to touch or have in our rules. So the rules, in my opinion, what's unique to Lake Boone? There's a couple things. The 2 big things are quiet time and speed after dark. The other stuff that was in the rules, a lot of them, like profanity or like throwing trash in the lake, I'm pretty neutral on them. I just don't think we should have rules for anything where there's somebody else already has a rule. So,
Okay, I think it's helpful to compartmentalize, to say the general laws and the voting laws. I think you've got a better case with the voting bylaw, because we are constrained by what the law is. But are you willing to are you interested to take a shot at putting together an option B on voting laws? That would be a real simplified kind of a thing, as opposed to the specifics which are now outdated in this one.
Yeah, I tried that last time. I was looking for a paper copy, but I don't have it with me. But, yeah, we could do that for the next meeting. My general opinion is that in terms of voting laws, once you say Chapter 90B, that takes out just about everything except for quiet time and speed after dark.
If we're gonna go with an option B, I'd like to spend some time with us, since we have to do everything as us individually. In consultation in a meeting, hopefully with Mike and Mary Walker,
Well,
just to say what works other places, what is the clearest way to put people on notice, other than giving them all the 90B book.
well, that's two different issues.
No, I mean, here's our laws the way we are. Do they cover, sufficiently notify people about certain sections? Yes, we're not saying we're putting everything in here. And it's the voter's obligation, or the owner's obligation to have full knowledge of those voting laws. But Mary particularly has oversight over all the lakes in the Commonwealth. She's seen a lot of different ways of making an omelet.
Yeah, she's also a very busy person.
Yes, but she's a public servant, and I would think if we asked, she might schedule a time to come in and spend an hour with us, or some period of time that she did in the past.
I have no problem with that, if you wanted to try to get her to come. I guess what I'm trying to say, and I'm not saying it very well, is, keep it as simple as possible.
I'm not arguing with the
And,
simplistic.
and,
I'm saying maybe she's got a real simple form she could suggest to
yeah,
us.
let me finish the sentence. Keep it as simple as possible, and, good, in Chapter 90B. I think on Fort Meadows rules, which I was looking for, I don't have a copy on me for some reason, but on Fort Meadows rules, I mean, their preamble was, hey, it's a state lake, state laws apply. It's your responsibility to know them. I don't think it's our responsibility to educate everybody as to what they are. You don't get an you got them, thanks. I might have given you my copy. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, and if you look at, this is Fort Meadows rules, right? It's 2 pages. Ours shouldn't really be much more complicated than that.
Well, then it might be just a simple advice as to, is one that picks and chooses, does a lot of more cherry picking in ours than this one does. Do you see the value in doing something like this?
Something like this, to me, yeah, because, when I was a patrol officer and you were a patrol officer, I carried our rules with me. And you had to give them, 3 or 4 pages of rules. I like this because it's, hey, state law plus, hey, here's what's unique to the lake. And on our kiosk, we can post what's unique to Lake Boon, very simply. So when people have it, make it easy for people to understand what's required.
So, looking forward, if we were to do an option A and an option B, since we are not doing this in a vacuum, we are going to suggest, if we're doing anything to change it, public information sessions. So we would have option A and option B and get comment from people on both of them. Before we make a decision, should we just go option A or B? And there may be some utility in what Connie's saying, and especially if we had some backup from somebody in the environmental police that says, yeah, the simpler the better, and those seem to work, and variations of those in other lakes and everything else, that might obviate the need to do a lot of this other stuff.
I'm good with that.
But I think just an off-the-record brainstorming session with with her, I think would be very helpful in that regard.
If she's willing to do it, I'm not against it. I like Miriam, I've got no
Yeah.
problem with her. I think what she's gonna tell you is,
Well, she may send one of her deputies or something, but I think someone from the lake, they paid enough attention to us before, I think they would like to see us be able to have something.
Can I just ask, is there any way you can invite her to a public meeting so we could,
That's what I was just suggesting, Ken.
oh, okay, I thought I heard private.
No, I said anything we do is gotta be, as a group, has to be a public meeting.
Cool.
That was the preamble to my suggestion.
Sorry.
But, I mean, all we can do is ask and,
yeah, I have no problem asking.
okay, then.
It's one of those annoying things in the back of my mind that says that I think what they told us was Chapter 90B is what we're responsible for. And they kind of, and that's where they want to leave it. But, yeah, I've got no problem having someone call and talk to her.
Well, I will do that, only just to invite her on the general topic of we'd like to come in
Yeah.
and have a discussion with, here's an example of one set of rules, maybe you have something else, maybe you can just guide us in a simplified way to, we're taking, this is kind of like the tablets that came down off the mountain in
exactly.
1941,
the
somebody
wording,
dreamed
everything
these
else,
up.
Yep.
I'm not putting any particular stock, and they have to be in this format. And before we spend a lot more time hashing over the verbiage
Right.
of this, it might make sense, as Connie suggests, to look at a simplified version.
Right.
And I think the way to do that would be to expedite and see if we could get a informational meeting with her.
Well, I would just being someone, kind of, when someone sets up a meeting with me, I want to know what it is, and if
Mhm.
possible, I want to read about it before I show up, because,
Mhm.
in a meeting, so I think in inviting, yes, we can invite her, but I think we should have something for her to consume ahead of that, so that she comes, or whoever, environmental
Mhm.
police person comes with having looked at, and can then have a discussion with us, so.
One document would be, here's what we've done so far, and
Yep.
just in the thinking stage.
Yep.
Here is an example in Fort Meadow of something that's expressed very differently, and any suggestions that you might have of other lakes that, oh, here's the one that we find
Okay,
fits
yeah,
best.
so, as long as we give something
Yeah,
ahead of time.
I would give them
that's-
this and the Fort Meadow and ask for their comments on those, and perhaps something that they might bring in that we haven't thought of.
Yep.
Since they deal with hundreds of lakes and we deal with
Yep.
one. So if that's all right, I will
No problem.
reach out and see what we can do for scheduling
Right.
something. Because, as I said, they invested a lot of time last year, and I think that they would probably be willing to come back and help us point us in a constructive direction.
Connie, can I take that one back, because I
Yeah.
need it in my
No.
record.
Yeah.
So before you go, I want to make another copy of that.
I have it electronically. I can send you an electronic copy if you want, but I don't have it on this computer.
Well, I like paper too sometimes, so they email a package. So let me make copies of that, and I can send her something to look at ahead of time. If that's the case, then I know you put a lot of time into this,
Yeah,
but
no,
let's
that's-
hold this in abeyance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the work plan that we talked through, at this point, all it is we've agreed, it probably reflects the right sequence of steps,
Right.
set of steps. The timing is
Yeah.
way off at this point, and if we're gonna
Yeah.
take a slightly different tack, we'll tweak it. So
Yeah.
it's really just kind of in a holding place
Yep.
for us to, resume. And it might be that the first step in resuming is setting up that time,
Yeah.
environmental police, so.
Copies. Fort Meadow and our progress. So I think that's all we need to say about this budget, this agenda item
Yep.
for tonight, because there's no No sense discussing things that we may wanna come back and think about in a different manner, hopefully a simplified one.
Agreed.
Weed control and future contracts, that's on, does that have to be,
That doesn't need to be happened tonight, and Andy, I forgot to invite Andy tonight.
I copied him on the notice for the meeting, but,
Our current contract expires, I always get this wrong. Our current contract expires at the end of this physical year, 2018, I believe. Because our contracts go year to year, physical year to physical year, but the town budgets go, you know,
well, the town budget's the same thing.
the town budgets go 30 to 30. I mean, June 30th, July 1 to June 30th.
Yeah, when you say, you mean it goes a calendar, the contract is a calendar year?
That's what I mean.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, the solitude contracts are calendar years where our funding is physical years. Yes,
So
and
this
we've got that
year's-
under control right now.
So this year's treatment is year 3 of the old contract,
Correct.
but we have to sign the contract
For
for
the following year.
for the year 2019.
Correct.
But we are putting in the budget enough money now so that we'll have it up front.
Correct.
And then that's why we use the $40-some thousand
That's
dollar
the warrant
number.
article.
Right, so this is,
Yeah.
we did cover that,
Yeah.
I think, in our last
Yeah.
meeting, so.
And the warrant article was submitted in Hudson. I assume it got submitted in Stowe.
Yep. And it was that thing back and forth with Tom Moses. He finally understood the way it was.
Your town manager thought that the Stowe number was the total cost of the contract. And that's what he told my town manager. And I said to my town manager, no, that's Stowe's portion.
Yeah.
That was the confusion.
Yeah, no, I got a thing back from, that clarified his understanding on that, about the 2/3, that there's 2 different ways of paying. The bills, we pay up front, operating bills in the small budget number,
Yep.
and bill at the end of the year. The big one, we have to split the bills 2/3, 1/3 each time. So I think we're all on the same wavelength finally on that.
We are. I would,
Okay.
yeah. And the other piece of that is the Stowe budget. It's still a little complicated because of the patrol budget. That $5,000 patrol money.
That's up to them. They're gonna figure that out, how to split that.
Yes, but I have to have it in the budget in Hudson in order for them to be able to
Ask
split.
Tom Moses to ask.
I already did. So he wants it in my budget. That's why my number is bigger than our number here.
Well, I'd say 1/3 of $5,000
Right.
is,
Plus-
should,
Plus a third of the other number, and that's what it was.
but the, because we said it was only $1,500 for the operating budget.
Yeah, so anyways, those
Yeah.
two numbers added up to
Yeah.
about 2,200 and something. And that's what I had, that's what I have
All right.
in the Hudson.
All right, so those are on track. And nothing more we need to do on the weed control contract.
No, next time we'll get Andy here, and we just need to make sure we know how to get the next, because we gotta get the contract. We have an estimate right now, and we gotta turn that into a contract and
Is
bill
it
it.
only an estimate?
Oh, yeah, we haven't even issued an
That's
RFP
just
for
the
it.
end of year report.
Yeah, that's the end of,
So we have to issue an RFP. We gotta go through the correct process on that. We've gotta issue the request for a quote, they gotta give us a quote, then we gotta get a contract. So, but we have time, we're not.
well,
we're not-
hopefully their numbers, they realize their budget numbers. And
Hopefully.
probably if they come in $10,000 over what they quoted
We got a
us,
problem.
yeah, we got a problem. And it's not in Houston.
Okay, what's
But,
next?
yeah, if you're gonna ask Andy to come, the next one would help.
Yeah, I'll get Andy here next time.
Ice out schedules, calls for us to put the board back in by March 1st or sooner if the ice is out. We don't have much ice this year, I expect.
Oh, yes, we do.
Is there a lot of ice?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's,
Yeah.
There's this much ice this year.
Yeah.
Drive ATVs on it.
Yeah.
Well,
And all the,
everybody turn off your cell phones, please. Oh, that was Professor Gilpin calling, as a matter of fact, name from the past.
So on the ice out thing, all I care about there, all that's important there really is that as soon as the ice out, the boards go back in. So we just have to watch that and make sure we do that.
And is it still, are you kind of the
Yeah,
official person to
yeah,
notify
yeah,
them?
that's the way
Okay,
it was
okay.
left.
So
So-
we'll watch for ice out, and just maybe among us, if, when you see the ice out in your basin, send Dawn a note, and I'll do
Yep.
the same in my basin.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we get the boards back in.
Do stuff by text to the extent you can.
Yeah.
I get that quicker than.
And
Text is
when we
okay.
consider ice out, that means we don't see any, or X amount
Technically, it's
out into
nothing.
the, it's not,
Well,
okay.
but by the time you see just a chunk floating out
Yeah,
in the
that's-
middle, by
that's
the
good
time,
enough.
by the time
Yeah,
it's like
okay.
that, it's gone in a
Yeah.
day or two.
Yeah,
And, yeah, Mike responds very well on that, so, but it will be no later than March 1st unless there's
Well,
something really weird
It's-
happens.
dangerous to put numbers on it.
Yeah.
because if we
Because,
yeah.
ice,
there was one year where, it was 2 or 3 years ago, where we still had ice in the middle of March. And remember, March 1st is not that far away now.
April.
yeah,
April, I took my picture on the lake, the
Yeah,
springtime picture. It was totally ice.
yeah,
Like April 10th. or
April 10th or something like that, so. The key thing here is not to put a date on it, it's when the ice is
Yeah.
gone, get the boards back in.
But the goal being, the goal is supposed to be to get the water level back by April 1.
April 15th, isn't it? I don't know what it is without looking it up. But anyways, yeah, so operationally, we'll just watch the lake when
Yeah.
when the ice is substantially gone,
Yeah.
put the boards
When I'm
back.
riding around, we'll
And we'll
take a look
text
at
her.
it and just shoot me a text or something. We don't need another meeting to go ahead to authorize to do that, because I've been deputized to get a hold of Mike and put him back in. Okay. Inventory and plans for buoys. Do you have enough buoys for the year?
I don't think so. I think I have 4 good ones. So the 4 good ones are good. And
That only covers basins 1 and 2.
so the reason I asked for this agenda item was to kind of the subset of that is where else do we want buoys? It covers the 1, 2 narrows and the 2 sets of narrows is what it covers.
But you've always had them at 2 and 3 as well.
Right.
You've had 6, and you've only got 4.
Wait a minute. Well,
In front of your house
it's in front of my house.
and the other side, around the corner.
So there's one going down to your house, a single buoy.
Well, that's a different kettle of fish.
Okay.
Let's leave that one out of it for
Well,
now.
that one's maintained by Metro anyways. He bought it, he puts it in, he takes it out. So we don't have to,
Well, as I say, for now, we have, fit 6.
why do you keep counting 6? There's 2 basins, there's 2 each, that's 4.
It's 3 narrows.
We don't put it back,
You've had them in the 2-3 narrows.
no, we haven't had one there for years.
In front of your house hasn't
No,
been there?
in front of my house, yes, that's
But
one.
when you go around the corner?
Which corner? Down by
From your
Cotell's,
house.
Alan's house?
From your house, right out in front of you.
Yeah,
There's 2
and-
you could see from
Yeah,
your dock.
that's right, that's 2, and there's one by Kathy's house, and there's one by Steve's house, that's 4.
Okay, there's the 4. We used to do them down in front of Catel's.
No, we did that 1 year, that was it. So we have not done that in the recent history. I haven't put anything there. There's 2 other buoys, maybe 3 other buoys that have been in the lake. There's been the one off of the Jacksons take care of on their point. There's one that on the way down to your house, and Metro's been taking care of that one. But the ones that we take care of right now, there's 4 of them. And the question, there's 2 more marker buoys. One around the corner on Pine Point, we'd like to have a buoy there. And right now, I could use a new one for that one.
so that's a big red one, is that what that's
Last
what you,
couple of
the
years, we
distinction
just-
between a marker buoy and like a no wake?
Right.
Okay.
So, the question is, do we want to, different years, there's been different things. What's the name of that point?
Indian Point?
Indian Point?
No, Indian Point is,
Which point are we talking about?
well, yeah, Indian
The-
Point's in Basin too.
The, between the narrows of 1 to 2 and the main part of,
Across from,
In front of varied prices.
yes.
Barry,
next to Barry's
that's Indian
house.
Point.
Okay, that one we need to have something at. And the question is, what do we want to put there?
What do we want to put in? That raises the question of where do
So
we put
some
it?
years I put just a single buoy with no markings on it, but that was lit at night. The trouble with the round red balls is people run them over at night and drag them, especially the pontoon boats. They don't see them, they go right over them, and they end up anywhere. We have to go hunt them down. The nice thing about the tubes, I'll just put a lighted tube there is what I'd like to do, and then I need to buy one of those. I don't have one for there.
Have we ever had one of those there?
Yep, I had one there for quite a few years, until it sunk.
Do we have the money enough in the budget between now and
Yes.
June?
Yeah,
Buy another one?
I believe so.
So I guess maybe for our next meeting, if you can bring the quote for what it would cost us, and we can use the map and identify like where it ought to, where we're thinking it would go, and
It
then we
goes-
can make the
it goes-
call.
Roughly 75 feet off of Berry Shore there.
Yeah.
That's just, because if you don't have something there,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
cut. What it really does is it stops the boat from cutting back in too tight to Smith's house and along there.
What does it say on it?
It hasn't said anything for a while.
If you were to put
Well,
one there,
why
what
don't
would
we
it
just
say?
let him do?
Come in with a proposal
Quote,
next
yeah,
time
just
as
a
to
quote,
what
and
you
then
want.
and
what-
we can use
what
the
you
map and
want.
identify where, and then we can either approve it or not.
Sounds good to
Fine.
me.
All right. Because it doesn't take long on a delivery time for those, right?
A week.
Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. Number 9, we've already talked about, really, operating and weed control budgets. We talked about under the last item, unless I'm missing
Yeah,
something.
You're good. No, you're good.
$1,200, and we've got the budget numbers in the warrant articles. Annual report. I've got a bigger copy of it here. No, I gave you one.
Yeah, I got one.
This is not in great respect different from last time.
Can I ask you a question on this?
Sure.
Just in general, what is the purpose of the annual report? What is it
Gets
intended
published
to?
in both town.
I get that.
There is
but-
a
so-
general law requirement
Yes,
that town departments
that they're.
publish a town report, a report of the departments of the town.
Right, but what is it supposed to convey? Is it supposed to convey a
Just-
little bit about what the purpose of that, like in this case, what the LBC is? Is it supposed to
There
convey
is no.
the,
there is-
what's happened
there
over
is
the last
nothing-
year?
There is nothing in, yeah, basically, it's a retrospective.
Okay, so
what
it's supposed to
happened in
kind of
20
convey the key things that
Yes.
happened in the last year as part of the responsibilities of the LBC.
Mr. Selectman, would you like to come in and join us?
No, I just want to thank you all for meeting and dealing with the business of Lake Boon, the most important neighborhood in our community.
He says that
You're
about
here.
Gleasondale too, don't listen. Depends on the
At a
audience.
Gleasondale meeting, I'll say the same thing.
That's right, that's right. Okay, all right, good to see you,
I'm
sir.
I'm liaisoning with ZBA, but
Okay,
I didn't mean to interrupt. Thank you.
okay.
So, Chris.
Yeah.
To answer your question, pretty much the same way that I've always looked at it as a message we want to convey to the town. What are we up to, and what, it gives us a chance to put something in writing every year that goes in the town reports in both towns. And we've always done two things in it. We've kind of put a message in it we're trying to get out, and a little bit of history of what we did last year.
Okay?
And these are, keep in mind, this document, 50 years from now, will be a historical something. Somebody will pick a dusty book out of this shelf to see what was going on
Yeah.
in Lake Boon in 2016, 2017.
I have electronic copies of the last 10 years or so I can send you.
Just want to get a sense. So really it is. It's a little bit of summary in general of why Lake Boone Commission exists,
Right.
and then it's an element
And-
of what the year was like.
And particularly every year, we have kind of cherry-picked some of the things that are the most troublesome to highlight in there, and those are virtually the same as they have been for the last several years, when you get into that section of it. And it specifies that, as we talked about earlier, that voters are responsible for knowing what the state laws are. And the fact that this is the second year of the fact that we don't do the patrolling, it's now totally through the police, and to call them in the first instance.
And what's our deadline for this? When do we?
Soon.
Yours
Soon,
is like
as
next
in-
week or something,
Oh.
isn't it?
It's kind of a soft, that one they're kind of soft on, but yeah, it's
A
soon.
little soft, but not much. Mine is in about 2 weeks.
So there's something else to remember about this, right? First and foremost, it's a checkbox so that we follow the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, in all the ones I've done for all the years I've done them, I don't know who reads it even, other than once we give it to them. So,
Yeah, it's not, we have never spent a long time editorializing about this. It's kinda, we're required to do it, so we do it. And I referenced about the rules that we started last year and would be looking at, but in very general terms. So it would be nice, unless you have really strong objection to, so we could approve this tonight, so we could,
I'm good with that. I'd make a motion to approve it as submitted.
I guess if it's a formality, then I would second it.
it is pretty much, I think you go back to 1941, you'll find references to these reports. And
No, I'm
some-
not saying that the reports themselves, but just the content, so.
How
That's
about,
fine.
how about, you second it, subject to next year, you write it.
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna second it with that.
All right, it's moved and seconded to submit it as approved, so we can get the town clerks and, oh, they go to the boards of selectmen of both towns. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Can I get a soft copy of this?
I got my computer messed up with trying to, that's why it came out that little thing.
Well, you did a PDF, so if you can just send the Word document, you probably created it as a Word.
Well, that's the problem. I created it one way and then it got switched to a PDF and I don't.
That's because if you have the new version of Word, it defaults to PDF as a save.
Yeah.
But that PDF is editable. It can be edited. So if you could give us a soft copy of what you got, we'll figure out, I'll figure out how to fix it, at least on my
Well,
side.
all right, I got a friend that will help me figure out how to do that one way or another.
So what you're gonna be careful is if you're running the new version of Office and the new version of Word, it wants to default to PDF, and you gotta tell it, no, don't do that.
Where it
It's
says
horrible.
save as
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
when it
Save
says save
as
as,
Word doc,
it'll.
not PDF.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
Yep. Big Brother is alive and well in Microsoft.
okay. That's done. New business for next agenda, anything, new item that anybody wants to, at this early point,
I don't have any.
bring
Well, I
up?
think we're, oh, no,
What
new
did we
business.
skip?
No, I thought you meant
We've
next.
done- we
No, no,
haven't done
no,
the
no,
minutes
yeah.
yet,
No,
but-
I know that. Nope, no new business.
Redo a public comment because we got more people.
Okay,
Well, do we wanna go through minutes, or,
yeah, let's
because
do the
we were
minutes.
time
I
constrained
only had
here.
one question on the minutes when I read them, and that's that you asked me to bring the 2015 copy of the Solitude Lake Management thing,
You couldn't find it, so.
and I can't find the 2015.
Yeah.
That was that actually 2015, or was it 2016 you wanted?
I think when I talked to Kathy Sferra, she said she didn't have one for 2015, but I'll say so sorry, please.
That's what I had written down, was 2015.
Yeah, but,
I'll-
I mean, you could probably get one back
I'll send a note to
from
Dominic.
them.
That's what
But
I'll
I,
do.
but this one, I think, the 26th, I
I
think,
have-
that's already gone.
That's gone.
That's gone to Concom, I
Oh,
believe.
yeah, it should have. So
Okay.
I'll give you, they're copied on the distribution anyway. I think.
Yeah. No, you know what it was? It was not just this, it was that Concom, we are supposed to submit from the commission a report. And that's the one that I had not done, so I didn't have it. That's where we were looking at.
There should be, the person that's responsible for drawdown is supposed to do a yearly report to the two commissions, correct?
Right, so that's where I needed some help from you to try to.
Okay, oh, well, I might have that. I have last year's drawdown report. If I don't have it, I can get it. I'll get you a copy of last year's.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, the minutes of the meeting, our last meeting. Just have them,
One page, both sides. All right.
looking through them after Chris sent them out, I did not have any issue with anything on it, but.
I didn't either. My only question was that 2015 or 2016 on that one date.
Was that one, that was on the old business part of this? The action Conway would look for the
Yes.
2015 one? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, I thought that was sort of, my notes were,
Oh, this is,
couldn't find the 2016.
okay, this is, it does say drawdown report.
Yes.
And I actually, okay, I screwed up then, because you guys didn't have the solitude reports either.
Yeah.
So, I'll look at that.
Okay.
Hey, your town internet doesn't work very well.
Okay, so this is correct as you have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Second. Discussion,
No?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Well, we're down at the bottom of the agenda. Then we'll go back up at Conray's request to see if there's anything, general comment, since some people came in after we went by that. Date of the next meeting. Do we want to leave it kind of at the call of the chair with some suggested dates, perhaps after I get some reaction from Mary?
I'm good with that.
Which seems to make sense, rather than picking a date and trying to shoehorn.
I'm good with that.
That's fine, I think.
I always try to think of what needs to be done and schedule the meetings around what
Yeah,
needs to get
this,
done.
this time of year, we don't have a lot really, and it's kind of, if we don't have anything immediate to do on this rules process, we don't maybe need a meeting for a couple of months, but in the meantime, let me find out what I can from her, and I'll let you know.
That's good.
Anybody here with general comment, other than items you've heard on the agenda tonight primarily? If there's some other item we should be considering. This is not something we can get into a debate about, but if there's something you have in your mind, would like us to talk about in the future, please let us know. Yeah.
I was responding to something that the detective said, and Chris, in discussion, can I just mention that briefly?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I really think that it's worthwhile, Chris brought up the point of patrolling from the shore, and I think that's really important because I know when the boat is out on the lake, behavior changes right away. And so I think it's really important to have both the police presence on shore, and maybe have some hours where Lee does that at his discretion maybe, but to make sure that happens.
Okay, noted it.
Okay, I mean, we heard that before, so this is kind of a second to that motion, and I think we can probably have some further discussions about it informally with the police. Anything else? Yep. Dick?
Dick Cummings, 22 Davis Road. It may be sort of allied to that because particularly when the boating starts up and the no-wake buoys are not in yet, I live right on the narrows between the first and second basins. We get boaters, occasionally jet skis that go up and down their full speed back and forth. I don't know if we can put a camera in, if you want to discuss resources to capture that, or if it's just a police presence that they could come on my shore. And, you know, I don't know ahead of time when it's going to happen, but they usually, once they go one way, they go back and forth a couple times, but it's usually not long enough to have somebody come from the center of Stowe to be there. But if there's some camera or something, anyway, just a thought, but those are the ones that I see as really dangerous. If there's anybody out there, a dog, and they're flipping through there at full speed.
When the buoys are in, that's not the case?
Occasionally, even in the middle of the summer, like sometimes I take a day off on a Friday and I'll be down doing yard work at 10 or 11 in the morning. Nobody's around except somebody decides because no one's around, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And occasionally, when there's a storm out with some lightning, I think there's some people who think that gives them license. And I've heard that if they race through the narrows because there's lightning, they can claim that, well, it's unsafe, they're getting home, except that doesn't apply if they go back and forth a few times, which they've done. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
it's hard for me to capture when they go by so fast, it's hard for me to get the registration sticker. I can't see that well
Without
at that speed.
getting into too much debate, I think part of that, as soon as we can get the boat in and the buoys in earlier, that will cut off part of that.
So that's
There was also a couple last year that went like at midnight, full speed through there, which is a double no-no, of course.
So there's two, thank you, Dick. There's two issues there. Dick is more than happy to let us put cameras on his shed. It
What did
requires
you say
two.
about cameras, Conway?
Putting cameras in the narrows to capture. We've tried that before and we're limited. We'll get the boat, we won't get the
We didn't
numbers.
try it very long.
Right. And what we learned real quickly was you gotta have two cameras, because you gotta have them facing both directions. So I don't know if we want to add that to new business next time. Do we want to?
We don't, if you want to have a discussion about it, yeah, but it has budgetary consequences that
Correct,
we
that's-
can't.
That would be part of the discussion.
Unless the police wanted to do it.
Just have a discussion on it. Do we want to look into maybe putting cameras? It's about $250 for two cameras. Depends what ones you get. A good camera is about $180, $190.
Well, we shouldn't get into a discussion of it now, but let's,
Yeah,
if you want to
that's
put it on for next time.
Yep.
Carl McDonald, 76 North Shore Drive. I like the idea of the cameras, but maybe we should think about not making them in a fixed place, because eventually people are going to know where the cameras are, that maybe they get rotated around the lake where there are issues that are going on. So just a
That could be
point
part
for
of
discussion.
that further discussion. Yep. Last one?
Do I get one more?
Yeah, you get one
I
more.
was also thinking, I forgot to say this, about having patrol, randomly some night of the week. And maybe that's in exchange for some weekend time. But some nights are really crazy. And I try not to swim during those times, but right after work sometimes, there's a lot of activity. I know, Conway, when you ski on Thursdays, there's more activity. I never want to swim during that time, but, sometimes I do. I think it's just worthwhile changing it up a little bit.
That's their prerogative, but as I think you heard, I hope you heard, that we have an avenue of communication with them.
Yeah, they've asked for input.
And they've asked for input. If you see something that you think that we ought to be doing differently, let us know. I have seen, for instance, on several occasions, one of the police officers standing on a dock in different locations, and just wave at them when I'm out in my own boat. And as far as, I knew nothing about that they were there, they just were there. So maybe somebody gets out of a cruiser and they're coming down one of the roads around the lake, walks down and stands on somebody's dock once in a while. So I know that that has gone on sporadically. But at any rate, I think that's all part of a discussion of how we might best do some new ideas other than just boat patrol.
And the thing we've all got to remember is we've got a great lake. You don't think it's good on Lake Boone, go spend an afternoon on Fort Meadow. Or go to any of these other lakes at Mary, go up to Lake Shirley Reservoir where there's a public beach. The guy charges $5 a carload. The carload comes in with 2 jet skis and 20 people. And there's jet skis lined up, jet ski to jet ski to jet ski on the beach, and they're drinking, and there's no patrol. So, you know, we've got it pretty good on Lake Boone, and I have friends on other lakes, and they just say, you what? They love our lake. So we've got a good lake. I, for one, am gonna try to keep it that way.
Well, I think that's the goal, all of our goals.
Yeah.
Do the best we can with the least intrusion. Okay, anything else?
No,
Motion adjourned,
Motion to adjourn?
seconded?
non-debatable. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
8:02.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah?
Ken, do you have